Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, join me in the elevator of life. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the Socialist. May the words of my mouth and meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, for you truly are my rock and redeemer, Lord. Yes, I'm standing next to Mary Brockman, who is my bouncer in the chat roll. If you diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed. Mrs. Biggs is standing next to me, and she's watching via Ustream and live stream. And we're going up the elevator of life. And this guy gets on, and I recognize him, kind of, sort of, but don't really know him. He just feels like he needs to say something to me. You know what I'm saying? Just the kind of guy who wants to hold a conversation with you. I understand, because many times I like to hold conversations with people. I like to get to know them and express myself in varied ways. Sometimes I just like to be quiet on this elevator of life. Just kind of keep to myself. Don't talk to them until I get to my floor. You know, I press the button. I'm not one of those people who presses every button. One of those jokesters, you know, they gotta stop at each floor, you know, but you get off at a floor well before everyone else, you know. No, I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not the kind of guy either who feels he has to play his music very high. You know, while I'm bobbing and weaving and listening to only my music. No, I'm not one of those guys. No, I'm the kind of guy who likes to just kind of sit there, or stand there, actually. I sit up against the wall often, but this guy gets on, and it just simply amazes me that he feels it necessary to talk to me. You know, mind you, I don't mind, you know, because I'm near a floor and I'm getting ready to get off. But he just feels it essential that he talk with me, as if he has something vital to say, as if somehow what he has to say might change the way I feel about someone close to him, or even about an issue that's close to me. I want you. This is what he said.
If you were on the other side of this, if you were an insurer, you'd say, gosh, I only got 2,000 people in this little pool. 80% of the insurance costs every year come from 20% of the people. If I get unlucky in the pool, I'll lose money. So they overcharge you just to make sure, and on good years, they just make a whopping profit out of the people least able to pay it. It doesn't make any sense. The insurance model doesn't work here. It's not like life insurance. It's not like casualty. It's not like predicting flooding. It doesn't work.
Wow. What are you saying, sir? What? It doesn't work? What are you talking about? It doesn't work. What do you mean it doesn't work? I thought it. What are you talking about? Healthcare? Are you talking about healthcare, sir?
Now the next thing is we got to figure out what to do now on healthcare. Our opponent said, "Oh, just repeal it all. The market will take care of it." That didn't work out very well for us, did it? We wound up with the most expensive system in the world, and we insured the smallest percentage of people. On the other hand, the current system works fine if you're eligible for Medicaid, if you're a lower income. working person, if you're already on Medicare, or if you get enough subsidies on a modest income that you can afford your health care. But the people that are getting killed in this deal are small business people and individuals who make just a little too much to get into these subsidies. Why? Because they're not organized, they don't have any bargaining power with insurance companies, and they're getting whacked. So you've got this crazy system where all of a sudden 25 million more people have health care, and then the people are out there busting it sometimes 60 hours a week, wind up with their premiums doubled and their coverage cut in half. It's the craziest thing in the world.
What? Wait a minute, I know who you are! You're Hillary's husband! Yeah, I know you! Oh, wow! Hold the floors! Press the emergency button because this is how we start our program, ladies and gentlemen. And as you can tell tonight, you know what I want to talk about. Yes, boys and girls, Obamacare is dead because the first black president of the United States said so. Ladies and gentlemen, you know how we start this program. We pledge allegiance to the United States of America. For those who are watching live stream, there's a flag you can see. For those who are watching via Ustream, there's a flag you can see. And for those who don't have a flag you can see, just imagine you are. Just imagine that you are, my friends, in front of a flag. Take it away, kids. Lead the way tonight.
Ready, begin. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Woo! Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is a great thing to have your young people pledging allegiance to the United States of America. Let me make some adjustments so I don't get sued. There you go. Ladies and Mary says, am I cold? No, I just like this outfit. I do. I hope the tie works well. I picked out this outfit, which will probably get some condemnation. And yes, I am going up against the vice presidential debate. So I know a lot of people are watching that. Boy, I tell you, that's going to be consequential. Not. Anyway, just wanted to say to you all, tonight's show, we're going to be talking about Obamacare. And Obamacare is dead. I want you to understand that William Jefferson Clinton speaking on this is not an accident. This is not an accident. He set his wife up many years ago for socialized medicine, and she failed. Unfortunately, she also failed in running for president of the United States previously, and lost to a black man who became the head socialist in chief of the United States of America, and was able to wrestle through with all of that Democrat support, because there was absolutely no vote of support outside of what the Republican from Maine did in the Judiciary Committee. There was no support for socialized medicine by the Republican Party in the final vote, and it passed. Now, Obamacare has been on the books for what, about 7 years? And after 7 years and trillions of dollars of spending, it is on death's door. It died in a free market, well, sort of crony capitalistic economy. I'd be glad the day we actually go to a free market economy. But how do we know it's dead? Because William Jefferson Clinton got up in a speech. It made it abundantly clear where he was coming from. And actually, seismographically, literally, well, let me use a different term rather than seismographically. As if using a submarine bomb or missile destroyed the legacy of Barack Hussein Obama and his wife's presidency at the same time. You say, how, Ken? How is it that he could have possibly have done that? Well, let me play for you what he said, and we'll talk about Obamacare tonight. Why Obamacare is dead, and how do we know? Because the first black president of the United States, William Jefferson Clinton, said so.
Now, the next thing is we got to figure out what to do now on health care. Our opponents said, oh, just repeal it all. The market will take care of it. That didn't work out very well for us, did it? We wound up with the most expensive system in the world, and we insured the smallest percentage of people. On the other hand, the current system works fine if you're eligible for Medicaid, if you're a lower income working person, if you're already on Medicare, or if you get enough subsidies on a modest income that you can afford your health care. But the people that are getting killed in this deal are small business people and individuals who make just a little too much to get into these subsidies. Why? Because they're not organized, they don't have any bargaining power with insurance companies, and they're getting whacked. So you've got this crazy system where all of a sudden 25 million more people have health care, and then the people are out there busting it sometimes 60 hours a week, wind up with their...
Whoa, people who are busting it? People who are working? Why are they working so hard? Because Obamacare turned their 40-hour work week into 32 hours, meaning that they have to actually get 2 part-time jobs to be working full-time. Bill Clinton didn't tell you that one.
The premiums doubled and their coverage cut in half. It's the craziest thing in the world. So here's the simplest thing. You raise your hands and you think about it. Here's the simplest thing. Figure out an affordable rate and let people use that, something that won't undermine your quality of life, won't interfere with your ability to make expenses, won't interfere with your ability to save money for your kids' college education.
We call that actuarialism. There's a science for that. It was working fine before the socialists like Bill Clinton, Hillary Rodham Clinton. My goodness, John Kerry, Barack Hussein Obama. Before they got to it, actuarialism was working. And then they put a government stick in the machine and it stopped working. What happened? Let me play it again for you because Bill will explain to you what happens when government gets involved in free market.
Affordable rate. And let people use that. Have health care, and then the people are out there busting it sometimes 60 hours a week, wind up with their premiums doubled and their coverage cut in half. It's the craziest thing in the world. So
what happens when government gets involved, Bill? What happens? Tell them, Bill. I mean, because you know.
System where all of a sudden 25 million more people have health care, and then the people are out there busting it sometimes 60 hours a week, wind up with their premiums doubled and their coverage cut in half. It's the craziest thing in the world. So here's the simplest thing. You raise your hands and you think about it. Here's the simplest thing. Figure out an affordable rate and let people use that, something that won't undermine your quality of life, won't interfere with your ability to make expenses, won't interfere with your ability to save money for your kids' college education, and let people buy in to Medicare or Medicaid. Here's why. You can let people buy in for just a little bit because unlike where you are now, if you were on the other side of this, if you were an insurer, you'd say, gosh, I only got 2,000 people in this little pool. 80% of the insurance costs every year come from 20% of the people. If I get unlucky in the pool, I'll lose money. So they overcharge you just to make sure, and on good years, they just make a whopping profit out of the people least able to pay it. It doesn't make any sense. The insurance model doesn't work here. It's not like life insurance. It's not like casualty. It's not like predicting flood. It doesn't work. So Hillary believes we should simply let people who are above the line for getting these subsidies have access to affordable entry into the Medicare and Medicaid programs. They'll all be covered. It will not hurt the program. We will not lose a lot of money.
Let's just say a few words here. Single source government health care. Sole source government health care. What he wants to happen here, as he speaks for his wife, and actually at the same time destroys the Obama plan, is that he wants all health care to be government sponsored. Eliminate the health insurance companies, because actually the product would be owned by the government and sold as agents of the government. So that makes it a government healthcare program, and everyone can buy into Medicare and everyone can buy into Medicaid, and we'll all be happy. The unfortunate thing is that the federal government pays a large share of Medicaid for a lot of the urban centers. And in truth, the nature of Medicare right now is kind of rickety. Kind of like Social Security, just barely making it. So what we want to do is pile everyone in America into government-sponsored health care. And that will make it all the better. Even though when you listen to the President of the United States, or the first black president of the United States, he explains to you what happens when government gets involved in healthcare.
Much to get into these subsidies. Why? Because they're not organized. They don't have any bargaining power with insurance companies, and they're getting whacked. So you've got this crazy system where all of a sudden 25 million more people have health care, and then the people who are out there busting it sometimes 60 hours a week wind up with their premiums doubled and their coverage cut in half. It's the craziest thing in the world. So here's the simplest thing. You raise your hands and you think about it. Here's the simplest thing. Figure out an affordable rate and let people use that, something that won't undermine your quality of life, won't interfere with your ability to make expenses, won't interfere with your ability to save money for your kids' college education, and let people buy in to Medicare or Medicaid. Here's why.
Didn't he just say that government being involved in it caused you to bust your butt to work harder to afford the increase in insurance costs, the increase in terms of payments for insurance care, the limited number of quality providers of health care, also that you have to work twice as hard because the government got involved only halfway. Imagine what you would have to do when government gets in it all the way. I put that in the chat roll, and also for the Ustream viewers, you can click on it and you can watch it as well at your own leisure. But what he is trying to explain to you is that only government can do this right. Only government can do this right. And the truth of the matter is, government involvement does not do that right. A lot of people don't understand that a lot of money was taken from Medicare in order to make the Obamacare successful. $715 billion was taken out of Medicare and given to Obamacare so that its first jump into taking over the marketplace would be successful. I want you to understand something. Obamacare has failed. I know. Don't take it from a conservative like Ken McClinton. Oh, he's so evil. The only thing he ever wants to do is cause people trouble and problems and be a smarty pants. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's never been in the field of insurance. That's a lie, I have been. He's never been involved in government. That's a lie, I have been. He's never had to work for poor people. Yes, I have. I've done that. And he doesn't know the morality of the entire cause. I am a minister. So listen. Don't listen to Ken. Ken will lead you down a pathway where you will not have insurance. You'll be degraded. You will be poor. You will be broken. Wait a minute. In order to get Medicaid, you have to be poor and broken, right? And I'm telling you not to do that. Wow. So, what are you saying, Ken? What I'm saying is two entities have a better impact on the marketplace than the third entity. The individual who has the right to pick and choose based on needs influences the free marketplace better than any government that likes to have one carbon copy policy for all people. And the last time I checked, I wasn't able to reproduce children. I don't have the skill set. God didn't give me the genitalia. I can't reproduce children. So why do I need gynecological services? Corporations, small businesses, when they're able to fight and lobby for their employees, large bodies fight for smaller prices in marketplaces where multiple products are offered. What's the problem? What's the problem here? Obamacare did not offer multiple products. What they do have, my friends, is one product, and that is whatever we say it is, that's what you got. And whatever we want you to pay, you will pay. And the deductibles are very high. Ladies and gentlemen, Obamacare didn't work. And it's not because of you, it is not because of your small business. Obamacare didn't work because government was involved in it. Government built on political agenda. Government built on the framework of we know what's best for you. Let me just say, ladies and gentlemen, that Bill Clinton has got it half right. You were busting your butt twice as hard to pay for people who were more sick than you on policies that you could never afford and they could only afford with government subsidy. So if you have to work twice as hard for a healthcare program that fails, imagine how much harder you're going to have to work for the next healthcare program that, by the standards of the Clintons and the Obamas, would certainly fail. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, we're going to talk about that Obamacare crazy system where we already have diagnosed it dead on arrival, where even Bill Clinton says it's crazy to be involved in that system, and why the free market is a better option for you. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show live on the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to, I love you, Mary. Mary says government works great. Look at the post office or Amtrak. First to the socialists, and then, first to the Republican and then the socialists. We'll be right back. I love you, Mary.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe for Griever Common Sense. You can catch me every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on shrmedia.com. That's every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, shrmedia.com.
When you suddenly don't know where your child is, nothing else matters but finding out fast. In this case, there's no need for a panicked search. Michelle's mother has just dialed her Amber Alert GPS number. Within 30 seconds, the Amber Alert GPS technology will locate the unit her child carries and display a map on her cell phone showing her exact location. She's at her friend Michaela's house. I'll call her there. Keep your child safe. Put your mind at ease. Call 888-334-3958 or go to www.amberalertgps.com to order Amber Alert GPS for your family now.
Hey everybody, it's Kristen. I'm here to review women's spirits made by dogs. I love these shoes. I am an FM sufferer, so finding shoes that don't make my feet hurt is very tough. These don't make my feet hurt. I've tried Pumas, I've tried Nikes. Nikes are pretty good. Pumas I can't wear. They hurt my feet too much. I mean, it's to the point to where my feet hurt so bad to where I can't even walk. So I was so happy whenever I was contacted to review the new dogs. I love these dogs. I love these things. My feet don't hurt when I wear them. They got the holes in them to keep my feet cool. They got massaging bumpies inside. Feels like you're walking on little things of foam. I mean, like, it's just awesome. I just love it. The heel is a deep well down in your heel, and it protects, it's a shock absorber. So if you're running in them or jumping in them, like if you're on a trail and you have to jump in them, it absorbs the shock. What else? And then it's a higher thing back here for your heel. So it's like a really high thing that protects your ankle from when you're running, so there's no injuries, so it doesn't cause injuries. It's Velcro, so it's very easy to tighten your shoe, so whenever you're running, your shoe won't fall off when you're trying to run. I love these shoes, and I hope you guys really appreciate this review, and there will be pictures at the end, like always. But I wish you would guys go check them out. These women's spirits are $40. There's a whole bunch of other kind of shoes that you can purchase as well. There are children's shoes, toddler shoes, infant shoes, men's shoes, women's shoes. Anything you can think of, they got it. And they're pretty cool. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you next time.
Now, at Brownells, we know you may have only one shot to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. We know how much you love to shoot, so our Gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. We also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for tuning in to the Exceptional Conservative Show. You can hear us on Red Nation Rising on one of their channels, either Liberty or Justice channel at 2 a.m. in the morning. We thank you so much for playing us, or at least allowing us to be on your network, Red Nation Rising. We also want to thank SHR Media that broadcasts us live every single night that we're on. I love you, Sackhead Sean, Sackhead Clint, Sir Mark, the Bloviating Zeppelin. Thank you all so much for being on our program and also allowing us to broadcast live on your network. We also want to thank, most graciously, High Plains Pundit Media for broadcasting us live as well from their network. And Dan, you just do an incredibly difficult job every single day, sipping lemonade and watching Jane work. That's difficult to do, and I applaud you, sir. Keep up the good work at High Plains Pundit Media. And also, we want to thank Janis Hall will be with us tonight, Tuesday night, returning. We miss her dearly. Glad to have her on as she brings down the complexities of the world information and world affairs down to the kitchen table so that you can take it to work with you and talk about it the next day. And we also want to thank one more group, and that is Iola Technologies and System Mechanic. They are a new sponsor of our program. We encourage you, keep up the speed of your PC, keep your PC clean, use Iola Technology System Mechanic. And I want you all to know, personally, I do use this very same software and it is very good.
Is your PC causing major headaches? Now there's an easy way to make your computer run like new again. Introducing System Mechanic, America's #1 PC performance software. System Mechanic scans your entire PC for over 200 different types of errors. It then automatically fixes even the most stubborn and frustrating PC problems, restoring full speed and stability in minutes. Visit runlikenew.com to try it free. Is your PC...
There we go. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I recommend highly that you go to the front page of the exceptionalconservatorshow.com. We will be updating the pages to show our new sponsor. And we encourage you, keep your PC ever ready for today's technology, its spyware, and everything else. Who we trafficking? I need to take a look at that. Millions of kids. Thank you, Mary. Mary's giving me information regarding websites, exploitedcrimes.com and also millionkids.org. Thank you, Mary. I will definitely take those under advisement to watch. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to our program. I know Bill Clinton said this system is just crazy. Woo! Crazy, the Obamacare stuff. And we're going to talk about that in just one moment. Forgive me. I got digressed from one thing. I want to make this also known. We're going to have a very special guest at 10:40 p.m. this evening. The lovely and beautiful Elizabeth Luras. Liz Luras will be joining us. The chief advocate for veterans, Liz Luras, will be joining us, and we will be talking about how the media and how the Clinton campaign are handling the comments of none other than Donald J. Trump recently regarding veterans. And I want you to understand something, in my opinion. Donald Trump did not say anything in error. He didn't. But this is how desperate the left is to win this election and to place its tentacles further into the American system to transform it fundamentally into a communist or socialist regime. Ladies and gentlemen, they took one word and exploited that one word to make Donald Trump look like the enemy public one, or public enemy number one, to veterans. One word. When you look at the Clinton administration, even the Bush administration and the Obama administration, veterans have been maligned, disgraced, and even murdered by those in the VA system, Veterans Administration system, and have not provided the care that they needed. Since we're talking about healthcare tonight, we might as well go into this for a brief moment. They've been treated as if they are not even American soldiers, seamen, and Air Forcemen. As if they were working for Russia part-time while they were in the armed services. Ladies and gentlemen, Barack Obama said that he would change things dramatically 2 years ago so that our former servicemen and women would not have to be obstructed by the corruption and malfeasance of an antiquated system that has judged them unworthy of quality health care. You see, before you start changing Americans' healthcare, you ought to start focusing on the healthcare for those who have surrendered their constitutional rights to protect this nation. If you can't take care of them, how can you take care of everyone else? You can't. You can't. Ladies and gentlemen, Elizabeth Luras, 1040 p.m. this evening. She'll go into greater detail about this, but I'm telling you right now, there are some people so desperate for power that they're willing to do everything, including steal, kill, and destroy your very family's lives. How do we know this? Well, let's take a look at Obamacare for just one moment. You mind if we all... I know, maybe I'm stretching a little bit. Maybe I'm going too far. Mary says that they're on attack and they're relentless, and they are. But we have been so weakened. Mary, satanic, I agree. We have been so weakened as conservatives that because someone says something to us, then we don't feel the need to fight the good fight. Maybe we're doing it wrong. Maybe we hurt someone's feelings. Maybe hurt feelings count more than liberty and freedom. I want to read to you a statement by Martin Lewin. Now, Martin Lewin is a insurance guru guy, and quite frankly, you can hear him often on conservative talk radio stations. He's the director of operations for Portland Benefits Group and the chief operating officer for Colonial Heritage Insurance Group. Ladies and gentlemen, you all know for a fact that Portland and Oregon have been the joke of Obamacare, spending billions of dollars on a system that did not work. Here's what he writes. Here's a news flash the mainstream media and political pundits haven't figured out yet. It doesn't matter what Washington does about Obamacare, market forces will determine the fate of Obamacare, which insurance products get offered in the future, and who can buy them. Didn't we just say that? America still runs on a free market economy. Kind of quasi. But rather than allowing the health insurance industry to function efficiently in a free market, the government has put more market controls on it than any other industry in our economy. Market controls. Remember, we had a show a little while ago, we talked about Franklin Delano Roosevelt putting price controls on things, and that's how we extended the Great Depression. It wasn't a Great Depression until they infused government into it. And then we saw that again in 1972 with oil prices, where Nixon, who actually worked at FDR's price control agency, instituted price controls. And you see what happened with the economy there, deflation. I digress. So far, everyone seems to be focused on Obamacare as a political problem in need of a political solution. They are missing the most important and unstoppable forces at work that have nothing to do with elections and who has the power to make laws. It's really quite simple. Obamacare only exists as long as there are insurance carriers willing to sell it. End of story, in the words of the great Kraken. How do we know that Obamacare is on deaf doors? Because now liberals, and they're not really liberals, they're illiberals, but they've stolen that name, and basically you will understand that if they can steal that name, they'll steal everything, including rainbows from God. They have stolen the concept and infused this noble principle that somehow when government involves itself, it cares more than you care about yourself. and that it can decide for you better to give you the most quality health care in the world. And really, they haven't done that well. They haven't done that well. Let me go on to read to you. He says, we are already seeing this taking place. Smaller carriers like Oregon's Health Republic, a co-op started with federal grants under the Affordable Care Act with the express purpose of offering qualified health plans, Obamacare plans in the marketplace, went out of business after 2 years. And now United Health, the largest health insurer in the U.S. I want to repeat to you, because some people don't understand, especially my cousin, Professor Dr. Michael Hughes, doesn't understand the concept of a free marketplace and that marketplaces beat politics 10-1 any given day. In fact, government is a reaction to a proactive society in the free marketplace. You see, Dr. Michael Hughes, who goes to and teaches at a black, historically black college or university, can't get that concept down. You see, the radicals there have to teach that it's white people holding y'all down. That's why healthcare didn't work being offered by the government. They don't understand. If you all spent more time in the economics, in the mathematics laboratory, instead of in the social sciences laboratory, you would be brilliant. You wouldn't have to worry about a black economy. You could understand the actual dynamics of how an economy works. Lewin goes on and he writes, and now United Health, the largest health, when the largest, that means the smaller ones are gone. Do you understand? The cockroaches get out of the ship before the rats. And now United Health, the largest health insurer in the U.S., is reporting expected losses of up to $745 million due to its 2016 ACA enrollees. And in fact, in a statement to investors on Thursday, that was in January of this year, United Health Group CEO Stephen J. Hemsley, he came under immense intolerance from the left because of this announcement, said that the company's losses from Obamacare were worsening, showed no signs of improvement, and would be unsustainable beyond 2016. Do you know what unsustainable means? Unsustainable means we're getting out of here. Are you crazy? We can't spend $745 million. That would be being a bad business person now, wouldn't it? Kind of like having a $916 million tax write-off shows that you're a bad business person. I guess spending $745 million to stay in Obamacare makes you a good business person now, doesn't it? Do you understand the left doesn't care about the mechanisms of a free market economy? They could care less. Donald J. Trump got out well before everyone else in Atlantic City. Kudos. That's brilliant business. That's a man who sees that the Chinaware is falling out of the cabinet. And it's not because the cabinet's weak. It's simply because the ground beneath it is shaking and we need to get out of here. If he's the first out, then he sees things in the economy that means that this is not going to work. Stephen J. Hemsley, unfortunately, and United Healthcare, being a significant endorser of the Obamacare and the leftist strategy for making us all covered, got the message a little late. Lewin goes on to say, when discussing the company's tolerance for losses beyond 2016, he emphatically stated, no, we cannot sustain these losses. No, I'm going to be honest with you. How can you remain the CEO of your company? If your boss walked into the office tomorrow and said, guess what? We are losing a little money. And I'm not meaning just a little money. We're losing a little money. We're losing so much money that we're not going to be able to keep our doors open for another 30 days. Now, even if we were to collect on all the debts that are outstanding, and even if we were to make cuts to our workforce, we would not be able to sustain being in business because the costs exceed the operational revenue. I've been a part of that. I've been kicked out of a business because the operational revenue did not sustain the overriding costs, even if you went across the board and cut everybody. So what must we do? We got to shut it down. We can't keep making these. See, if I don't shut this down, when I walk into the boardroom at the end of this year and I tell them, we've had over $1 billion in losses and there's no hope of ever recovering that money. Even with an Obamacare bailout, it ain't going to work. It may pump us up for another year or two, but we would die after that. We need out. Do you understand that in order for government insurance to work, government needs you and government needs insurance companies? Although they tell you that you're the biggest enemy and the second biggest enemy is your insurance company. Because your insurance company wants to make profit. Really? That's how it sustains itself in downtimes by having uptimes. Ever read the Bible? What did Joseph do? He sustained a great amount of profit in good times so that they would be able to sustain themselves in the times to come. 7 years good, 7 years bad. They were able to sustain. That's what profit does. But no, these corporations are evil. Evil, I tell you. No, they're not. Historically black colleges and universities, you need to shut down your social sciences department and your communications department, and you need to swing everybody into economics, math, and science so that they can understand. And don't study Keynesian economics, von Mises, so that you understand that there are bubbles in the marketplace at all times. And asking government to react to a bubble in the economy that they've created. It's like asking the wolf to take his own teeth out after displaying his ferocity in the chicken coop. They ain't gonna do it. And who suffers? You do. I go on. Lewin writes, as insurers exit the Obamacare market, the remaining carriers will be left with higher risk customers and will have to either raise rates further, raise the roof, or exit the market as well. The key purpose of the exchanges was to increase competition and give consumers more choices. With less competition and less choices, even the purpose for having the exchanges goes away. Now, I'm not sitting on a great board of a major insurance company like Mr. Lewin is. I don't have all the great expertise in the field of insurance like Lewin does. But it doesn't take brain science or rocket science to get this. If they can't provide it,
a system where we're going to work with your employers to lower your premiums by up to $2,500 per family per year. We will start by reducing premiums by as much as $2,500 per family. Here's what changes, saying to people who already have health insurance and the employers who are providing it, we'll work to lower your premiums by up to $2,500 per family per year. I also have a health care plan that would save the average family $2,500 on their premiums. And if you already have health care, then we're going to reduce costs an average of $2,500 per family on premiums. we're going to work with your employer to lower the cost of your premiums by up to $2,500 a year. And we'll cut the cost of a typical family's health care by up to $2,500 per year. And if you've got health care, we're going to work with your employer to lower your premiums by $2,500 per family per year. And we will lower premiums for the typical family by $2,500 a year. And cut the cost of health care by up to $2,500 per family. And if you already have health care, then we're going to work with your employer to lower your premiums by up to $2,500 per family per year.
Barack's policies will provide healthcare cost reductions of about $2,500 for the typical family.
It's time to bring down the typical family premium by $2,500, and it's time to bring down the costs for the entire country. And if you already have health insurance, we will lower your premiums by $2,500 per family per year. We're going to work with your employer through a catastrophic reinsurance plan to lower premiums by about $2,500 per family per year. The only thing we're going to try to do is lower costs so that those cost savings are passed on to you. And we estimate we can cut the average family's premium by about $2,500 per year. And we'll work with your employer to lower your premiums by $2,500 per family per year.
Barack Obama will provide rural America with affordable health care and save the typical American family $2,500 a year.
And reduces every family's premiums by as much as $2,500. If your employer does offer you health care, then we're going to work with your employer to lower premiums by up to $2,500 per family per year. And cut the cost of a typical family's premiums by up to $2,500 per family per year.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you this before we go to the next segment of our program with Janis Hall and J. Hall World Report. Between 2010, when the Affordable Care Act passed, and 2015, the average cost of employer-provided health insurance increased by 17%, above the rate of inflation. The average cost of employer-provided health insurance increased by 15%, above the rate of inflation. I will say this loud and without trepidation. Barack Hussein Obama is America's worst president, America's most corrupt president, and America's most dangerous president. What's even worse are the voters that voted for Barack Hussein Obama supported the most dangerous, most corrupt, and worst president in the history of the United States of America. If you wish this country to survive, you must repeal Obamacare, and you must force the GOP to keep their hands off your health insurance and your private doctor-patient relationship. You must put an end to FDR's war on capitalism, constitutionalism, conservatism, and Christianity. And you must repeal the war on poverty. Only when you, the American people, follow what we said last night and repeal the income tax on Americans, only when you become strong enough to take back your country, your sovereign land, and allow your state's representation in the U.S. Senate, and also allow yourselves to be the sovereign instead of the ruled. Unless you do that, our nation will surely perish. And you shall watch it happen. We'll be back with more of the best in urban conservative talk right after these wonderful messages. We'll be back with Janis Hall, the J. Hall World Report.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of Infused Restaurant, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. how we're making a pizza, we use fresh Italian sausage that we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and rich. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and a Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. Once the fish is ready, and our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused beef burger. When we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce, we start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers, like half a pound of burger, and we're gonna grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat just a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit. Order up!
Ladies and gentlemen, 6339 Allentown Road is the place you're supposed to be. Right now, get your burger. Oh my God. Dave's there. That's probably where he is. Ladies and gentlemen, we also want to thank our very newest sponsor for our program, Iolo Technologies and System Mechanic. Speed up your PC. Keep your PC safe with Iola.
Is your PC causing major headaches? Now there's an easy way to make your computer run like new again. Introducing System Mechanic, America's #1 PC performance software. System Mechanic scans your entire PC for over 200 different types of errors. It then automatically fixes even the most stubborn and frustrating PC problems, restoring full speed and stability in minutes. Visit runlikenew.com to try it free.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, but it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the socialist. You know, I miss Janis. Janis to me is like, forgive me for saying this, but Janis to me is like a daughter. So, I'm somewhat biased and prejudiced in terms of her growth and development. However, her growth and development is quite evident over the years since she's been on the program. She is the official world news commentator, and we are bringing her on in just a few to talk about some of the major issues that are going on around the world. And there are a lot of them tonight. The world isn't talking about a Venezuela, big fat Venezuelan woman who once was Miss Universe or whatever. They're not talking about that stuff. You know what they're talking about? They're talking about Syria. They're talking about Russia. They're talking about the breakup. All right. Got the wrong number on that one. Okay. Let's try this number here. Let's see. This is the best live that you could ever get. I love live. We are ringy dingy 1, ringy dingy 2 for Janis Hall.
Hello.
Good evening, Janis Hall. We miss you.
Good evening. I missed you guys too.
Wow. Listen, how is it in terms of California IA? Are you having a good time?
I am having a very good time. The weather is lovely.
Awesome. When you come back, we'll have a hurricane for you. How about that?
Okay. I've heard about that.
Aren't you excited? No,
Not really.
not really.
I think I'm still gonna be gone when the hurricane happens.
You are so
that's
blessed.
good news.
That's
for
good
me.
news. You are so blessed. Janice, a lot of people think that the biggest news story going on around the world is a Venezuelan who was once a candidate or nominee for Miss Universe, and what Donald Trump said about her weight. Apparently, that's the biggest news in all the world. Is that it?
I mean, there are other things, but that is certainly garnering a lot of attention these days. Yes. I mean, it might not be my top story, but it seems to be the top story for a lot of people.
It's just sad. It's really pathetic that people are that brazen. But there's a lot of stuff that's going on. First and foremost, because we have a lot of listeners in the Ukraine who listen to the Exceptional Conservative Show. Here's a country that's close to them, Hungary. And this is not the first week we've talked about Hungary. What exactly is going on in Hungary?
Well, there's a couple stories that I want to talk about with Hungary. Both have to deal with the illegal immigrants that have been coming in. So on Sunday, they voted to see if they would essentially accept the EU's mandate of taking in a certain number of refugees. And it technically didn't pass because they didn't have over 50% of the population voting. Mm-hmm. However, of those that did vote, the percentage who essentially rejected it, who did not want to have an EU mandate of how many people that can come in, was very heavily favored at 98%.
Really?
So basically, basically everybody who voted said, no, we don't want you to tell us how many people we have to take.
Janice, what is that number again?
98%.
Wow! That's
98%.
That's kind of like everyone in your classroom holding up their hand and saying you stink. Oh my God!
Pretty much.
Except for one person who also 98% voted. Oh, I guess. Wow! Does the rest of Europe know?
Oh, the rest of Europe knows, and the rest of Europe is not particularly happy about this, which is understandable. I get that. They're basically, they're saying, oh yes, this is how this Europe will, fall apart. Countries can't just, do what they want to do. Isn't that terrible that countries can't just do what they want to do? I can't imagine such a thing.
John Kerry said earlier today that we are still developing as a country. We have 50 states that feel that they can do their own thing. So I suppose Europe is not ready for a nation like Hungary that 98% of less than 50% of those who voted want the refugees out. Is there any hope that the other portion will come and vote for a ban on the refugees coming in?
Hard to say. Right now, the situation is mostly that, technically the referendum has failed, but the leadership in Hungary is still very much opposed to taking in any refugees. So I have a feeling that, just because this failed, it's very unlikely that they're going to be taking in any or be supportive of it.
Janice, that doesn't sound like a failure then. You know, you know what
No, not really.
that's kind of like a mafia kind of, you
Yeah,
know, if you keep doing this, we're going to do something to you eventually. Who's in charge of Hungary? Oh my
yeah.
goodness. So are they headed to France? All the refugees in leaving Hungary to go to France?
Well, they're trying. They're trying to. Well, mostly they're trying to get to Germany,
Yeah.
right? That's the end goal. So yeah, the other story coming out of Hungary, well, technically it's coming out of Serbia,
Mm-hmm.
is that there's several thousand who are stranded in Serbia because Turkey built a fence to keep them out. So apparently some of them, a few hundred, got upset about this fence and have decided to march to the Hungarian border to protest about Hungary's fence. I somehow don't think that they're going to get what they want.
I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, what a terrible thing refugeeism can be uh, when individuals feel we dropped Janis. We're gonna pick Janis back up. You know, um, when they feel that they're not welcome. Oh my goodness. One ringy dingy, two ringy dingies, three ringy dingies, four ringy dingies. Okay. There we are.
Hello, you have reached Janis. Please leave a message.
All right. We're going to try Janis back a little bit later in this particular. Call Janis, not the professor. Thank you. I will. Thank you, Mary. I definitely will. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, hopefully we have Janis again. And we will talk about some of the other issues facing the world, one of which is it happening in Poland. And I think that you really, really need to be abreast of that.
Now, Brownells, we know you may have only one shot to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. We know how much you love to shoot, so our gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. We also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
It's a love story like no other. From God's heart to yours. And for 30 years, it's been at the heart of every book, Bible, CD, gift, and resource from ChristianBook.com. Over 500,000 products, always at the very best value. ChristianBook.com. Everything Christian. Because it's our story, too.
Is your PC
Hey, it's Jersey Joe for the Reaver Common Sense. You can catch me every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on SHRmedia.com. That's every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, SHRmedia.com.
Is your PC causing major headaches? Now there's an easy way to make your computer run like new again. Introducing System Mechanic, America's #1 PC performance software. System Mechanic scans your entire PC for over 200 different types of errors. It then automatically fixes even the most stubborn and frustrating PC problems, restoring full speed and stability in minutes. Visit runlikenew.com to try it free.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We're so glad to have you with us tonight. Let us try again to get in contact with none other than the beautiful and the vivacious Janis Hall, the J Hall World Report. We love Janis. This is on the night of Obamacare is dead. And how do we know that? Because the first black president said so. Much going on in the world tonight. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi.
I'm here.
Oh, it's so good to have you here, Janis.
I didn't want to interrupt you. You sounded like you were having a good conversation.
Well, you know, and you met Mrs. Biggs. Most of my best conversations are held by myself, and Mrs. Biggs has told you that. Leave him alone.
I mean, I have very good conversations with myself. So, yeah.
Leave him alone. He's talking to himself. He'll be okay. Let him go. Listen, other big story happening tonight, and I wanted to point this out, not just because we have a large listening audience from the Ukraine, as I keep pointing to, but because we care. Polish women held a Black Monday strike to protest proposed abortion ban. What is that all about?
Well, Poland already has a pretty strict ban on abortion, and they basically want to go even further and make abortion completely illegal. And it hasn't gone into effect yet, but it was planning to. And a lot of Polish women in protest decided to skip work, dress in black, and go out onto the street and protest this complete ban.
Wow. Now, Poland it seems to be a very Catholic-oriented country. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe they're Muslim. But
no, very Catholic. Very Catholic.
Yeah, very Catholic. So, wouldn't this protest just be kind of like out of the ordinary for Poland? Why is it so intrinsic or prominent?
I think probably the biggest thing that's happening right now is most people do favor the current law on abortion, which is essentially, in certain extreme circumstances, it's acceptable.
Yeah.
But even though being very Catholic, I think most are not supportive of having a complete and total ban on abortion.
Mm-hmm. Now, they didn't get.
I will say. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
They didn't get violent or anything, did they?
No. Okay. No.
Mm-hmm. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go for it.
Oh! I was just going to say, the law that has been proposed is quite extreme for a Western democracy. They've essentially, unless hypothetically a miscarriage can be proven that it was not induced, a woman could face, years in jail. Is one example. So it is pretty strict.
Yeah, but is this a sign maybe to the West? Because even though it was a lot of people attended that, a lot of women attended that, and some men attended that protest, that they're not against a ban on abortion. They're simply against a certain level of ban on abortion. Is that where Western civilization is getting to?
I would hope so. If we're going to go, completely pro, or at least, completely acceptable versus completely not acceptable, I think that most people do favor having abortion be legal in certain limited circumstances, and that's generally yes what the polls wanted, and so this total ban just goes farther than I think most of them want.
Because we talked about we talked about Hungary and what they're doing, which is considered extreme by Europe. Now Poland's doing this, which is considered extreme by Europe. Uh, is this a sign that the Eastern Europe nations are tired of Western Europe? I don't know. I just presume that.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's my opinion. I think that a lot of countries, and not just the ones in Eastern Europe, are getting kind of fed up with being dictated to from Brussels.
So they've had enough of the European Union. These are all basically, they're not getting out of the European Union, but they're trying to tell you we don't like you anymore. Is that passive aggressive?
Basically.
Yes.
And I think it's that they're not ready to break up yet. They want to have more time to themselves. They want to explore, who they are, but they're not quite ready to break up.
It's not you, it's me.
I just need more time for myself.
That's it. I want to talk with you because this is very serious. Not that the other items not. I think those are basic referendums against Western Europe and against specifically Germany. But Russia, Syria, and the U.S. Okay, this is serious. All this playing around that Kerry and Obama have done. What are we looking at now?
A mess. We're looking at a okay. I will attempt to discuss the mess.
Okay.
And make it somehow make it hopefully make sense. So what we have going on is Russia has been supporting Assad and the technical government of Syria. And recently, with Russia's help, the Syrian government and Assad have been making headway against rebel forces. Basically, anybody who's not part of Assad's government. Now, the U.S. has pretty much from the beginning always taken the side of the rebels. Now, unfortunately, some of them turned into ISIS, but we still favored the other rebels that were not part of the government. So what is now happening is the government forces are basically ready to retake Aleppo from the rebels, and basically with the help of Russia.
Mm-hmm.
But the U.S. is not happy about this situation. And I would say it is unlikely that anything, like if something was going to happen, we would have to intervene militarily. And that, I think to a lot of people, doesn't seem like necessarily a good idea. That risks escalating anything between the U.S. and Russia.
Wow.
I would say that, yes, I would say that right now the consensus seems to be in the White House to not do anything, which I would say is probably a good idea, though perhaps we would probably have different opinions on why.
Mm-hmm.
I think primarily it's just too late. The U.S., we wanted to try and help them. We did a little bit. We got ISIS, which was very unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
And then now, when a potentially more moderate group of Syrians, and I say potentially more moderate.
Yeah.
We don't actually know really that they are. Group might be in danger of being completely eradicated. it seems like it's high time. It's way past the time that we should have involved ourselves if this is the outcome. If this is not the outcome that we couldn't live with.
Wow.
Am I making sense?
Yeah, you are.
This mess.
Yeah, you're making sense. And we're talking with Janis Hall, the J Hall World Report. And this is what happens when you put a neophyte in the position of commander-in-chief and ambassador to the world as the president of the United States. A gentleman who really believes that he can talk his way out of anything, that he can threaten countries that are not necessarily as well established, but certainly are powerful enough to do more than a bee sting to us. And one who feels with thin skin that if we can't get an agreement that sustains my legacy, I'm willing to walk away from the table and hurt those who matter most. The Aleppo situation is a result of what he did and Hillary Rodham Clinton did with the Arab Spring. If it were not for them, there would not be as much pressure on Syria, who had already had 4 civil wars going on at the same time, along with the threat of ISIS and Russia's intervention. If it wasn't for the Arab Spring, we wouldn't be in a situation now when there is a threat of retaliation against Russia. And this goes back to drawing that red line at the UN and not following through. Am I right on that?
Yes. I also think that this is one of those clear examples of where if you're a leader, making a decision, even if it's the wrong one, is better than making no decision.
Yeah.
I think that, the reason Syria has gone on so long as it has is because none of the people that has any power to do anything wanted to make any sort of decision on it. And so it just continues to, keep being an awful, terrible situation. And I think at this point, even if Obama had, supported Assad or supported the rebels or had supported somebody, just to have a winner in the situation probably would have resulted in a lot less destruction and death in that region.
Is this what you want to do, knowing that 6 months from now, a new president, a new commander-in-chief will be coming to power? Do you really want to enter into a war with another nuclear power? I
don't. I don't.
Exactly. I'm thinking to myself, we are not talking about a Caribbean island. You know what I'm saying? We're not talking about Grenada here. What's the worst thing that's going to happen in Grenada besides Zika? I mean, come on. You're not going to get anything out of a smaller. We're talking about a nuclear power that has actual control over, as we're getting into winter, over the oil access and natural gas access to Europe, has a foot in Syria and a foot, to be earnest, in the Ukraine. This is serious.
Pretty sure they have more than a foot in Ukraine.
Yeah. They have something else, but I won't mention that. But virtually, Russia has been moving east at light speed. And if Syria falls under Russia province and Turkey falls out of NATO, we're talking something very serious that this president has left behind for the next president of the United States.
Yes, and I would say that these are only the things that we are seeing right now. I imagine that there will be other far-reaching consequences that we can't even imagine right now, due to lack of leadership in the White House these past 8 years.
Wow, this is ugly. You mentioned a mess, and I think that you were just being respectful.
I probably was. I probably was.
You are a great diplomat. This is a hell of a mess. And this is what happens when you get someone in office who isn't qualified to make decisions. And so I want to ask you this question because we'll be talking with Elizabeth Luras right after you. And she is a supreme advocate for the U.S. veterans in America. Donald Trump made remarks yesterday to a group of veterans, and some people believe that he insulted veterans by saying that some are strong enough to handle PTSD and others are not. And Hillary Clinton has taken that and used it in a speech today to say that he was trying to offend purposely the veterans. I have to ask you, and I know that this is silly, but this is a population that we're dealing with around the world. Donald Trump or Hillary Rodham Clinton, which would be a better commander-in-chief, at least from the world's view?
Oh, you mean who would be better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, from whose perspective?
Certainly not from Germany. Certainly
I mean,
not from the German perspective.
Okay, so it's so difficult. Choices are terrible.
Don't go diplomat on me now.
I'm sorry. Okay, so this is what I would say. I think that after the debacle of Benghazi, I think that Hillary Clinton is pretty incapable of being commander-in-chief.
Yeah.
I think that I think most people probably just don't know about Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to think that he would be okay. He's kind of a big risk, right? He could be great or he could be a huge disaster. We just don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
I think overall, I'd say he probably at least can make decisions.
Yeah.
So at least in that regard, probably better than Clinton. Yeah, this election's going to be interesting. I'm honestly not looking forward to election day and finding out who it's going to be because really, both are not great options.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty much this is the way this is the way I look at it. Her king piece is off the table when it comes to the idea of foreign policy. Period. She was a failure. An absolute failure.
She was.
So
she was.
In this chess match, she's not even in it. And if we're left with Donald Trump, he's the best that we got. God bless him, especially in dealing with Syria. What a gift to leave a president. Janis, we love you. And we thank you.
In Russia.
Yeah, you ain't lying. You ain't lying. All those kind words they have for each other, they really despise one another. That's the truth of the matter. They despise one another. Janis, we love you. And we miss you. And we look forward to you coming back next week. Janis Hall, the J Hall World Report. Thank you.
All right, good night.
Good night. Ladies and gentlemen, we love Janis. She is such a diplomat. Go, girl. I'm telling you, she should be somebody's ambassador. And I recommend Cuba, the ambassador to Cuba, because I know what I would tell her to do. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going for our last commercial break. When we come back at 10:40, we will be talking with none other than one of the biggest advocates for veterans in the country, period. And I would say around the world. Not only a beauty on the outside, but a beauty on the inside, and an excellent representation of Christ. Elizabeth Luras will be joining us very shortly. We'll be right back with the final commercials of the night.
Well, welcome to Freedom Fest 2015. I think this is the best Freedom Fest we've ever put together.
Freedom Fest is truly international. There's people from all over the world that come to Freedom Fest, not just to talk, but also to participate in dialogue, participate in the panels, to participate in the audience.
So hold your breath, lock your seatbelts. I hope you're at your Wheaties today.
We are enslaved by government mandates. What light bulb you can buy, what car you can drive, how you heat and cool your home, to what health insurance.
Europe actually has allowed itself to be held hostage of this entire Greek situation.
They have the courage to do debates. And you have debates on foreign policy, on taxes, on what's going on in the world, on how to invest and how to run your own life.
He used an example of restaurants. Don't open a restaurant because it's so competitive you'll never make any money. Really? I mean, been to Chipotle lately? How many believe that Peter Thiel won the argument competition is overrated in America? And how many favor John Mackey's response?
So here's the moment many of you have been waiting for, myself included, and I think it's the reason why this room is completely packed all the way to the back as far as I can see.
I think I worked about 8 years to put together this debate.
I have to say, it's really kind of depressing to see people holding up the Reagan story, which is so obviously different if you pay any attention to the story, as that's the best argument, really? That's the best argument?
And the middle class and the poor, the people you say you care most about, are the people who've been hurt the most by these policies because they've had no income growth at all.
Thank you. They already left 2 waters for me. I'll probably only need 1. So I appreciate it.
In America today, higher education is controlled by a cartel. And they say, oh, let's take out a loan and pay for this. And no one bothers to tell them that the market for Greek philosophers has been tight for 2,000 years.
So in terms of its 2 major policy objectives, stable prices and a stable economy, the Fed has clearly failed.
And if the Federal Reserve actually did the right thing, the market would crash.
Every country in the world has a lower corporate tax rate than us. Can we fix that?
This, in my view, is the premier libertarian event in the country.
You probably meet the largest cross-section of philosophically based groups of any conference anywhere in the world.
Some of the smartest people in our country come together here to discuss the ideas, the challenges. This is an engaged group of individuals.
This is all about the mind. It's not about how fancy you are.
Feisty discussions, interesting people to meet.
I love it. This is my first time doing anything like this.
It's the only place you get this many people who agree with me. I live in New York. Nobody agrees with me.
War is not the health of the state. War is the death of liberty and freedom. And that's a mentality that is particularly strong in the Republican Party, but it's also strong in the Democratic Party.
I want the government to be this small. I want the individuals to be this big.
We are people when we are at our greatest that we lead by example. We don't jam it down anybody's throat. We don't force them to live our way. We don't nation build.
It's very interesting. There's a lot of variety of stuff. Really.
Hear ye, hear ye. Freedom Fest Court is now in session.
We are gathered here in this great sovereign state of Nevada to decide the fate of the country's central bank, the Federal Reserve.
Please place your hand on this edition of Forbes 400 Richest.
There was a bubble in many markets, and that's simply mathematically impossible without the Fed creating the money to make it happen.
The Fed is guilty, 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 guilty. Court is now adjourned. God bless America, and may you always ride on the eagle of freedom. Hallelujah, and good night.
I'm Joanne Skousen. I'm the founding director of the Anthem Film Festival. And we are in our 5th year. We started in a little room on the 26th floor at Bally's, and now we've grown to huge numbers. In fact, we have a fabulous lineup of shorts.
A police officer can wear a body camera, but you as a citizen may not have access to that footage.
Live from Las Vegas.
We recognize that Freedom Fest is a big tent.
Well, I happen to like Rand Paul. I really do. By the way, in some cases, they'll build a new hospital for $1.5 billion. You could build 7 hospitals, 10 hospitals for that if you knew what you were doing.
We had almost 300 speakers.
Without a doubt, our most successful Freedom Fest ever.
And I just adore the experience. It's like a saturation of the senses, a saturation of the mind. I've learned so much. I come home with way too many books. I adore Freedom Fest. I'm definitely coming back again next year.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is no more fun time that we at SHR Media, High Plains Pundit Media, or the Exceptional Conservative Show Network enjoy more than Freedom Fest. And at the Paris Resort next year, ooh la la, Paris Resort, Las Vegas, July 19th through the 22nd. And I'm telling you, it is a joy to be in the presence of so many great individuals and great speakers. I'm going to let you all know now, just for my listeners here. I got to let you all know this. I already know who's going to be the featured speaker for the event. And I'm going to let you all know now who that featured speaker is. And hopefully that will induce you to go ahead and register early. One of my all-time favorite actors, whether it be in the court of law or jumping across a police car or kissing Isula, I believe her name was, on Star Trek. Someone, my wife will tell me who it is. Mrs. Biggs will tell me who it is. But nonetheless, William Shatner will be the prominent speaker next year, the keynote speaker at next year's event. So William Shatner will be in the hizzy. So you know I'm going to try to make my way there as quickly as I possibly can. I love William Shatner. I really do. Someone troubled my mind here with the name. But until then, we will continue to promote Freedom Fest and want you to be there with us next year. Now coming up, the woman that is denoted, Uhura. Thank you, Mary. Good evening. The woman who is considered as beautiful.
Good evening.
The woman who is considered as beautiful and as brilliant as Uhura on Star Trek. None other than my little girl, Elizabeth Luras, who is the ultimate U.S. veteran advocate. God bless you. It's so good to hear you.
Oh, it's so good to be on here. I'll take that as a compliment because I don't actually know who that's like.
I am so dating myself with my daughter.
I'm not a Trekkie.
It's okay. It's okay. Just know that you are the beautiful one. So,
I'll take it.
There you go. You take
I've
that.
been called worse.
None other than Elizabeth Luras, who is an advocate for U.S. veterans and just one of the most beautiful people I've ever met in my lifetime, inside and out, and just a great love of Christ, in which I envy myself. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to play this clip for you, and hopefully you can hear it, so that we can basically structure what I'm concerned about. And you can speak very fluently on these matters because you have been one of the great supporters of advocates. This is Donald Trump just yesterday at Herndon, Virginia.
We need that so badly. And when
When you talk about the mental health problems, when people come back from war and combat and they see things that maybe a lot of the folks in this room have seen many times over, and you're strong and you can handle it, but a lot of people can't handle it. And they see horror stories, they see events that you couldn't see in a movie, nobody would believe it. Now, we need a mental health help and medical, and it's one of the things that I think is least addressed. And it's one of the things that I hear, like your question, it's one of the things that I hear the most about when I go around and talk to the veterans. So we're going to have a very, very robust level of performance having to do with mental health. We are losing so many great people that can be taken care of if they have proper care.
That, my friend, is what Donald J. Trump said in Herndon, Virginia yesterday. And 24 hours later, Hillary Clinton is at an event and she is focusing on the word strong. And she intimates that Donald Trump called veterans weak who could not handle PTSD. First and foremost, Elizabeth, if you would assure everyone exactly who you are, what you believe in, and why you believe in it as a veteran.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess to answer a couple things. To answer the question about who I am, I served in the United States Army. I was in military intelligence, and for the better part of a decade and a half, I have been a legislative advocate for veterans, going to the White House and helping people on both sides of the line work just for the benefit of veterans. I've also worked in the chaplain's office within the VA system. And then I most recently have been the economic liaison for the Pacific Northwest through the VA as a consultant. So I've seen many sides of the issue with veteran care and what's happening with PTSD, how we're having so many of our service members coming out with PTSD. Just to give you an example here, I recently, in one of the foundations that I'm working with that is supporting veterans, we had a situation where one of our combat rescue guys came out and is homeless and was one of the very few who actually asked for help because of the PTSD. And he admitted himself into the hospital, which is extremely rare because a lot of times they won't ask for help.
Yeah.
And he was homeless because there's not jobs for a lot of these vets when they're coming out. And there's a lot of stigma about what PTSD is. And so this vet goes, he's in, treatment for a couple days, and then he comes out and nobody, not any of the vet centers, not any of the VBA, Veterans Benefits Administration, none of them would help this vet. So they kicked him back out on the street. And this happens over and over and over. And I would say when we're looking at presidential candidates, the biggest thing, anyone that knows me knows I've been a huge supporter of our Benghazi guys.
Yes.
Chris Carano, John Tigan, Mark Geis, Oz. They're all very good personal friends of mine. The biggest thing is if our vets, when they're out there serving our country, protecting us, protecting Americans, if we aren't taking care of them and they're getting killed and left behind, which is the core of service in the military, is we do not leave anyone behind in the battlefield. If we have a candidate who before they even get home won't protect them or won't bring them home, then we can't even take care of them when they come home. So you can see very clearly that Donald Trump is the only one who is out there saying he is supporting them. He's got a lot of support from the Benghazi guys. He's standing up. He speaks the truth, and that resonates with a lot of our warriors out there because they might not be polished like these politicians, but they're all heart, and they're all conviction. And I think that's the thing about Donald Trump is he is speaking from the heart. And I think that a lot of us vets can see that, where when we look at Hillary Clinton's track record, she's left us for dead before we even get to the VA system.
I mean, really, thank you. That was very poignant. It's very simplistic.
She's just kind of circumvented the whole process.
Forget.
She said, well, if we kill them before they get to the VA, we don't even have to deal with that.
Exactly.
And, and the second piece of it, is when you've got just recently, and a lot of people that have followed, some of my radio stuff or things that I'll put out there on social media, I was a huge supporter of not allowing the Syrian refugees to come in. And one of the things that I was trying to really drive home to people is the VA budget and the money that's going for that is the one budget that is the one that constantly the Obama administration, Hillary Clinton included, will take money from the VA budget because it is accounted for differently than a lot of the other budgets that we have out there. And so they literally took, for all their Syrian refugees that came in earlier this year and continuing to come in until we stop those floodgates, they took $2 billion out of the VA budget to cover the difference of bringing these Syrian refugees in. That $2 billion alone would solve all of the homeless vet issues in America.
Wow. We're talking with Elizabeth Luras, and we're talking about U.S. veteran advocacy, and specifically the comment that Donald Trump made in Herndon, Virginia yesterday. And if you've been watching the news, you never hear the entire piece as we played it on this particular program. And my commitment to holding things in context as well as content. We played the entire minute of his explanation that U.S. veterans need health care as well as mental health services. And I want to talk with you very briefly about the word strong. And the term and the way that he used it, in the context that he used it, he was referring to individuals who happen to be healthy in that particular speaking audience. And it has been misconstrued and misreported, in my opinion. But your opinion, are you all supposed to be so weak that you would take one word out of a man's entire conversation to mean that that is the detriment to all veterans?
So I had a little bit of trouble hearing actually the replay of it. But what I will say about PTSD for veterans is PTSD is a natural response to unnatural trauma. And unnatural trauma can be whether it's military sexual trauma or whether it's combat trauma. And so it is a very human response to those that are brave enough to step up and to subject themselves to the traumas that a lot of times are faced. And it's not just our military, but also obviously our law enforcement a lot of times.
Yeah.
When they're subjecting themselves to that, that does not make a person weak. As most of the people that have listened in the past heard me on the radio, I have PTSD. Does that make me a weak person?
No.
Anybody that knows me knows you do not want to go toe to toe with me.
Heck yeah. Even Chris.
I'm not a weak person. I'm very, very far from that.
Let me just say this. Chris Tonto Peranto doesn't want to go toe to toe with Elizabeth Luras. I'm just saying. Chris is a hard man. Even Chris doesn't want to go toe to toe with Liz. So this is a strong woman. But
wise man.
He's a smart man. But many people would listen to the context of what Donald Trump was saying, and he would agree. He was agreeing with what you just said. That it's not a measure of character; it's a measure of health. And some are not strong enough necessarily of and of themselves to fight it. They need help. And that's what the mental health services should be there for veterans. But it was totally taken out of context by the Clinton administration. Is this a desperate woman, in your opinion, that she would pick on veterans?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. The thing is, and I just got done watching our vice president debate, and one of the things that I kept seeing pain point for me.
And he is a pain.
That just came out. That was just off the cuff.
For you, Slim.
Anyway, so Payne kept he kept saying that Donald Trump had said to Senator McCain, John McCain, that he was not a war hero. And that is absolutely not actually true. What he said, and he said it kind of in a backhanded thing, if anybody was to actually go look it up, the Post actually reported it completely wrong. He said he's a war hero, kind of like sarcastically. And then he came back and he said he is a war hero. He said it actually 4 different times. He said he is a war hero because he was captured. However, he has done some very bad things.
Yeah.
So that's how you see, that's a politician taking something and twisting it. And it somewhat reminds me of statistics classes and so the analyst classes that I would go through, where yes, they're numbers and you can look at them, but depending on how you spin it, it can come out something completely different. So That's what you're seeing in the Clinton campaign. It is a desperate attempt because she knows the truth is, I mean, you can just look at her history and her track record. She has not supported that. She's left us to die. She's talked bad about us. She definitely is not there. And I don't care whether she says she's there for women or not. If the Clinton Foundation is paying women 38% less than men, I mean, she talks out of both sides of her mouth.
Exactly.
So, of course, the only thing she has left to do is twist the truth.
Liz, would you do me a great favor? Because I want to take these moments without asking you another question. I need to have you come back on for a longer interview during this election season, especially for veterans. Would you pray for our veterans that they are not misled by individuals who would perceive their weaknesses and try to take advantage of them?
I would be honored. Heavenly Father, Lord, we just come before you and we approach your throne of glory with power and with strength, Lord. We just thank you, God, that you are watching over our soldiers that are here in America defending our borders and that are overseas away from their families. Heavenly Father, I pray that you would just give them a shield of protection right now, Lord, that you would send your warring angels to guard them on either side. Heavenly Father, I would pray that the spirit of truth resides strong over all of our warriors that are out there. And that, Lord, all of their family members and their friends that are back home, Lord, that they would see the sacrifices that they are making and that they would have their eyes open and the scales would fall off. And, Lord, that they would see who will be willing to stand up for our warriors and protect our defenders. Heavenly Father, I also pray that, Lord, that there would just be a way that the voice of our warriors that are overseas, that they will be heard. Lord, that you would give them the opportunity to cast their vote into where it would actually count. Lord, we know that you see all things and that you are greater than all things and that you are mighty and powerful. And Lord, I just pray that you would arm our warriors. Lord, those that are serving right now that do not know you or have been struggling with it, Heavenly Father, I just pray that you would soften their heart, that you would bring people into their lives right now, that they would be able to find truth and find you and make peace with whatever things that they are struggling with that have kept them away from you. Heavenly Father, I pray that you would also just give them peace about what they're doing. Lord, that their hearts would not be burdened and that when they come home, that they would be welcomed and taken care of and protected, that you would support them and continue to support all those who have returned to us, protecting them and keeping them healthy. In your precious name, amen.
Amen. Elizabeth, we love you dearly, and we're ever so thankful not only for your service to our country and the fear that you put into Chris, but as well, we love you. We love you dearly for your service to our country here at home for our veterans. And we pray for your strength and your longevity in that and that those prayers become answered prayers for not only you, but for every single veteran who ever served in our particular nation. Thank you so much for being on the air with us tonight.
Amen. Thank you. It's an honor.
All right. Janis home was earlier. Elizabeth Luras now. We thank you so much for listening and tuning in tonight. Tomorrow night, Reverend Norma Hardy will be joining us talking about where are the pastors in urban America when it comes to urban crime. Ladies and gentlemen, a friend of mine always told me, be brave, never die a coward. I promise you I always will. I want you to know without a shadow of a doubt, God has blessed America. It's time now for America to bless God. We'll see you tomorrow night, Wednesday night, Sackheads Radio night, right here live in the nation's capital. God bless each and every single one of you.